Here it is, boys. Episode 6 of Reign of the Seven Spellblades. We finally have our big reveal. The epic plot twist. I have to say, kind of expecting something like this. I think for quite a while early on, it felt like Oliver was not here to go to school. Something was telling me Oliver was not here to go to school. Now, it kind of seems as if Oliver is here for revenge. The entire plot line is to come here to kill... I'm assuming they're all faculty members. We've seen at least 4 that are people that actually work there, that are professors or the headmistress of the school itself. I don't think we've seen the other 3, Enrico, Demetrio, and Beldia. I don't think we've seen those 3, but we've at least seen Esmeralda, Vanessa, and Francis, and of course, Darius, who's the late Darius, has been croaked at this point. But yeah, like I said, I felt like there was some reason why he was here. There was also kind of a sense in this episode of everybody gets a Spellblade. You get a Spellblade. Oliver has a Spellblade. Nanao has a Spellblade. Now we finally get the title. The 7th Spellblade has finally been created, which is apparently the ability to slice through time and space, which again kind of goes to the point of the Spellblades. The Spellblades are supposed to be these insanely OP things that are one-hit killed. Now the question mark that this episode really creates for me, honestly, is... who the hell is Oliver's mom? Why does she look so young? Did she teach him the blade? And yes, why they want her dead? Darius seemed to give us some indications as to what that was, but I'll get into that when I get over there. But let's start from the beginning. Obviously taking down Vera because she wants to dissect Katie. Now everybody in the comment sections and stuff was telling me, don't worry, she's not just crazy. I didn't really get anything extra in this episode. Maybe it's something later on. It seemed like the only indication that we really have is what Oliver told Katie, which was that Vera was trying to instill knowledge upon these demi-humans, and it wasn't working out. And then somehow Katie unlocked that last piece that she couldn't figure out. Katie succeeded in the end where she could not, and so she wanted to figure that out. Again, not terrible, I guess not crazy, not completely crazy, so I guess it's a good thing, but in the end, we'll just leave it up as we'll all be best friends and move on. Because yes, they didn't want to kill her. Apparently, somewhere in the fight, Nanao got the indication that Vera didn't want to kill them, so she didn't want to kill her either, which is honestly very surprising for Nanao's character. Nanao's character is to fight on the battlefield, and one succeeds. She's killed a ton of people, so her having some sort of, I guess, sympathy for a fallen is sort of interesting. Truth be told, there was a lot that happened in this battle that honestly was against Nanao as a character. Now, that could be that because at this point, Nanao has changed a lot, being around Oliver and the rest of them, but it sort of goes against a lot of what we've built around Nanao. Nanao is a warrior on the battlefield. She has killed a lot of people, and yet here she is getting her butt kicked by a student of a school. Now, you can probably explain a lot of that in the idea that Nanao herself is not used to fighting mages. We've never really got an indication that when she was way in the Far East on the battlefield that she ever fought mages. The arrival of Shella's father was probably foreign to them. So maybe the explanation of why Vera was winning against Nanao and that she couldn't take her on even though she is a battle-worn warrior is mainly because she's not used to fighting mages. That's what Vera kept using to her advantage. She kept sinking the floor, knowing that if she makes Nanao lose her footing, she's completely ruined. But still, it was a cool fight. Going back and forth, some tricks and stuff that Oliver's employing, their strategy of actually getting behind her, and yes, eventually getting the reveal that Nanao, subconsciously seemingly, we're gonna do that whole thing. We're gonna do the whole trope of they never realize how overpowered they are. Apparently, Nanao has a split personality or something like that. There's another self within her that's unlocking that knows how to use a Spellblade. Or at least she crafted that 7th Spellblade in that fight. That was the moment, like, she created it at that point. Which, I mean, is honestly not something that is too far stretched in this environment. The idea that, yes, technically, just simply pushing yourself to the limits, you can unlock potential. And that potential that she unlocked was the ability to use a 7th Spellblade. Which, apparently, according to Oliver, is... and sort of what she was saying as she was doing it, is this idea of cutting through time and space itself to get to her that fast. She's going to use this eye. I can't get to her in time. The eye probably works in the speed of light, so I'm essentially going to cut through this time and space here that is my issue. I don't have the time to get to her, and there's too much space between us, so let's just cut through it. Let's just get rid of that. And it succeeds. So yes, the birth of the Seven Spellblade. Nanao is, to shock to nobody, the wielder of the Seven. I figured it was either going to be Nanao was going to have the Seven Spellblade, or it was going to be Oliver, which apparently Oliver has, what was the fourth or something like that? Yeah, the fourth. But yes, throughout the fight itself, it seems like Nanao had sort of a split personality, because she kept doing things that it seemed like she wasn't aware that she did. When Vera used the spell on her and she was able to pretty much deflect it with her blade, it didn't seem like she knew what she did. And then equally, when she created the Seven Spellblade, or again, technically I already knew it, and locked away in this other persona, she didn't know that she did it. A nice little detail she had in that little moment was when she was going to use that Spellblade, you could like very briefly see that she was smiling. Like she was excited about the situation. Which yes, it doesn't technically mean that it's not the original Nanao, because she does find joy in fighting, but it's typically in a one-on-one fight. So I don't know if that's going to be significant or not. But yes, Nanao, for some reason, takes pity on Vera, doesn't want her to die, claims that she wasn't trying to kill them, even though she nearly turned her into stone, which I would assume would kill her. But again, we had a bunch of people die to kobolds and Garudas. Maybe you just can't die in this world. Except for Oliver's mom. Apparently Oliver's mom dies, despite there being like incredible healing abilities. Apparently his mother died. The after scene was pretty cute. I did like the scene with Katie because it shows kind of a carryover of a conversation that she had with Oliver before, and really trying to express how much she wants to keep pushing forward. She's acknowledging at this point that yes, this school is full of bad people. We've already established that. And Oliver, like Oliver said, you can either change or you can just accept it and just have to deal with it. And she's choosing at this point to accept what she said. I'm going to stay as I am. I'm going to acknowledge that there is a lot of bad people here, and I'm going to do whatever I can in order to change that. So I thought it was a really nice little thing. There was an element there of almost hiding hurt with joy, but I still think it was a really great scene. And I guess now knowing what we know at the end of the episode, this does technically make sense to why Oliver seems so broken. This idea that I was able to save one person. He was able to save Katie, and technically preserve the kindness that she has, despite the fact that a little bit later, he's gonna go kill somebody. He's gonna go get his revenge. Despite my issues that I'm slowly gathering with certain characters, I do think Oliver as a character so far seems to be the best wrote at this point. Nanao can really surprise me at some point, but so far she's kind of been kept as I fought a bunch of people on the battlefield, I want to find somewhere to die. Oliver himself seems to be that type that I'm here for revenge, I will get my revenge, I'm full of anger. Nanao is telling me this other side that revenge is bad and that has no joy in it. But additionally over here, I'm able to retain that innocence and kindness that Katie has. I was able to save somebody. Despite the fact that I'm here to kill, I was able to save somebody. I was able to keep and preserve the kindness of somebody else. And so that is something important to him. He may turn out to be probably the most conflicted character of this storyline. This is what I thought I was, but I'm actually this. But yes, victory chews all over the place. Victory chews across the board. But yeah, despite nearly having her brain dissected, she wants to go to talk to Vera, maybe possibly be friends. We'll see. But yes, true to Andrew's statement, Darius invites Oliver to go find the remains of the research of one of his students that got lost to the spells. There was a cool little statement here. As they're walking down there and he's talking about the student that has lost himself to the spell, they sort of give an indication of there sort of being a positive to that 20% that's going to die, essentially. Those that get consumed by the spell will die, yes, but their being consumed by the spell will leave remnants behind that others can pick up and progress themselves. Because this person got crazy and consumed, I can then find his charred remains and go, oh, don't do that. But I can use this and this and this. So it does kind of have an aspect of, even in failure, there is success, which is kind of a cool concept. But yes, we find the grand scheme of Darius, what his driving force is, which is to essentially get rid of stupid people. This is almost as bad. This is almost as good as Vera. Vera just was like, how did you unlock the last part of my sentence? Here, let me open up your brains. Now we have Darius, who just wants to kill all stupid people. Only 1% of the world is geniuses, and I want to get rid of stupid people. So I'm trying to teach monsters how to be smart, so then I can apply that to stupid people. Okay, cool writing. We'll go with it. It makes sense. Sometimes geniuses hate stupid people. I'm fully aware of that. even if you're moderately smart, you still hate dumb people sometimes because they make dumb decisions that affect you. So that's Darius' driving force. He wants to get rid of dumb people. But that really wasn't the point of this whole scene. I mean, yes, I guess it's smart to kind of see, I guess, some point to what he and, in a sense, Vera was doing is trying to get rid of dumb people and devising technology to make demi-humans smart for that sake. But that aside, Oliver's whole point in even following him, even though what Andrew said seemed to be true, Oliver wants to kill Darius. He came down there knowing full well who Darius was. Darius is one of 7 people, I think it was 7, that killed his mother. Now, yes, that yellow-haired girl that we keep seeing little flashes of, her being naked in the middle of a river going, that was the time to do it. Apparently, that's his mom. And apparently, she's super young, and either that or she never aged, but because she looks really, really young, but apparently she had Oliver at some point. And I assume that she taught Oliver how to use the 4th Spellblade, so I don't know how old he was when she died, but lolly anime moms is not a new thing here. She's just petite. But yeah, that's when we get the reveal that Oliver has the 4th Spellblade, which apparently seems to be something that is, yes, the trope, I find the thread where I succeed thing. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the whole, the Inspector thing. I find that one thread where things go well. Of, I think he said like 10,000 different cases where he's going to die to Darius. This was the one where I don't die. And so I go and grab that one thread, and he wins. It's essentially a precog of multiple possibilities, and you find the one where that possibility is that you succeed, and you go after that one. Which, yes, leads to him beating Darius, and immediately Darius knows what happened. He's like, crap, that was supposed to be gone. So this is already implying that, seemingly, what I'm gathering is that these 7 people wanted Oliver's mother dead because she had the 4th Spellblade. Which, yes, technically makes sense. In this world, Spellblades are pretty much a guaranteed win. And if several people don't like the idea that you have this Spellblade, or maybe the possibility that Spellblade overcomes all the other Spellblades, which would make sense to me if you were able to create multiple scenarios, then it makes sense why, if a possibility these 7 individuals know Spellblades themselves, they would want her Spellblade gone, because it might possibly be the one that cannot be overcome. So the best way to overcome that, because it is a guaranteed win, is let's gang up on her. Let's all gang up on her. And yes, seemingly Esmeralda stabbing her in the back. The best way to get rid of her is to be the one that she trusts. Now, the interesting comment that was made throughout this entire process of him using pain skill to have him feel the 120 different ways that they harmed her, which he specifically says that it's 128 forms of pain that you caused her, which makes me wonder that he has felt all the pain that every one of them had done to his mother, so he's going to do this to every single one of them. Which makes me wonder, does that mean that possibly they inflicted like 700 plus harmful attacks upon her before Esmeralda finally finished her off? Which would be interesting. Well, technically Esmeralda would probably have done one attack because she trusted Esmeralda, but anyhow. During him using that pain spell on him, at some point Darius said, I apologize, but this was all your mother's, and then he cuts him off. Now, it could just be that he cuts him off because Darius is just making up excuses at this point, but there's a possibility there could be a lot of meaning in that statement. The idea of, it's your mother's doing. It was your mother's choice. Your mother caused this. Now, based on her being stabbed in the back by Esmeralda, I assume that that's not a case of this was her choice, like she told them to kill her. But it could be one of those aspects that while it doesn't forgive the act of killing his mother, that there was a reason why they had to. Like there was a threat there that they personally seen had to be squashed out. Which, yes, could easily just be she has a Spellblade that can take down all of them, and it's a threat. But yeah, he keeps paying him until eventually he says, please end it. And that was apparently the phrase he wanted to hear that would make apologetic enough that he would want to finish him off. Even though he didn't get to the 128 forms. But yes, that's when we get the big reveal that, yeah, he's after seemingly the entire faculty. I don't know about the other 3 that we haven't seen yet. They could be part of the faculty, or they could be somewhere else. Maybe just the 4 of them are in the school itself. And yes, Oliver apparently is heading a big organization to go kill the mom. This is like the MILF organization. The MILF organization is after the killers of the MILF. So they're all following Oliver in order to kill all these individuals because they killed his mom. Which, yes, does technically imply this idea that either these are all followers of Oliver and he wants his revenge, but it seems to imply that all of these individuals are kind of mad that they killed his mom. Like, possibly his mother is significant to all these individuals. Like, this is like a cult. It was interesting that they went out of their way to kind of point out that Oliver looks nothing like his mother, which was the reason why Darius didn't even recognize him, which makes you wonder if he's even a child of his mother. They are kind of implying the idea because he knows his sword, it makes sense, but I think this is kind of a little bit more than that. But yeah, Shannon shows up, Gwen shows up, which apparently was his brother, which I think was the one that sent the guard to constantly watch him. I think the girl that pops up out of nowhere, I think that was Karstay. I think that was the one that was watching him the whole time, which was implying the idea of, you know, choose your friends wisely. You need to stay safe until your goal, which seemed that goal was to kill all these individuals. A bunch of hooded extras show up that we don't know any of them, and they'll probably never show up again. And they also imply the idea that Oliver can only use this ability, this fourth Spellblade, 2 times before he dies. So we got a limit on there. The age-old anime trope of you could only use it twice before you die, and he'll use it 3 times at some point. We always love that trope. And then finally, at the very end, seemingly having Oliver, like I mentioned earlier, conflicted it in the idea that he's living for revenge right now, and yet he is hanging around somebody that is trying to push on him the idea, wielding a blade for revenge has no joy in it, which he's like, well, I guess we'll find out. Which I don't really necessarily think that anybody does wield a blade or a weapon of some sort in the case of revenge and wants joy out of it. There's never joy in revenge. I don't think there's ever been a case of that unless somebody's just completely out of their mind and they're just maniacal and just wants to see things burn. Your revenge pushes you so much that you're in the state of just fury. That would be probably some joy in that. And yes, there is a lot of stories where that ends up leading to a point of just being sorrowful. But I think Oliver's in a state where he just wants to see these individuals die. And yeah, there's not going to be joy in it, but at the same time, there's going to be some sort of satisfaction, I would guess. Or at least justice. But yeah, that's where they wrap it up. I'd be curious. I'd be curious because Katie doesn't like Vanessa so much. Oliver needs to get Katie involved with the taking down of Vanessa. All these poor little creatures that they've been experimenting on, and Katie's the one that does the final blow. A lot of stories like this where they kind of lay out this is the kill targets. There's some stories that will kind of lay out a character that you seem like you should like, and let you have that uneasy feeling about taking them down. But they've kind of laid all these individuals as being pretty much characters that I wouldn't care for. When they started laying out that it was a bunch of the instructors, I was kind of wondering if they would end up throwing Luther in there. Unless Luther ends up being one of the ones, again, that I haven't seen before. I was thinking that, I think it was Demetrio, the one that had his eyes closed. I was like, well, what if that's Luther, but just a different name? That could still be a possibility, but so far it just seems like these are all bad guys that you don't care if they kill him. So there's not going to be like that moral gray area for some of the characters that are his targets. Yeah, it was 7 years ago, so I'd assume that he'd be like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. Yeah, his mom's young. She's youthful. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on Reign of the Seven Spellblades, Episode 6. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.